Hi children, welcome back to the episode of the Stolen Boat poem. Do you remember the poem? Come on, say it with me. So once there was William Wordsworth himself as a boy. What did he do? He took away a boat which did not belong to him. But when he went towards the sea to see the craggy rock which he wanted to, now they have described how he started the boat like a swan. What was the scene like? Ripples of water which became smooth, and then he saw the craggy rock. He was happy. Behind it came a huge mountain which scared him, and it seemed like the mountain was coming close to him as and when he was approaching. He was feeling bad. Why was he feeling bad? Because he had done a stealthy act and his conscience was making him feel bad. And after so many days also, this entire scene was coming in his mind. For him, the trees, the sky, the sea, everything seemed like huge black forms. Even men, even living men did not interest him. So he felt bad about this for quite a few days. Now let's solve the question answers. Come on. So this is question number 1 from your textbook only, page number 110. Who does her in the first line refer to? Her is the cool summer breeze. You can go back and read the first line. Question 2. Where was the boat moored? Inside a rocky cave tied to a willow tree. That was the home of the boat. What does home in line 3 refer to? The place where the boat was usually moored. Moored means tied up. Question 4. What does her in line 4 refer to? The boat. Right? Please go back and read the line 4 and then attempt the answer again. It's the boat in the line 4 they referring to. Question 5. Why does the poet use words like home and her while talking about the inanimate boat? It's not, does it live? Does the boat live? So how can you call her? How can you call that she is living in a home? The attraction of the boat to the boy is so much that it acquires a human presence in his mind, because he's so attracted to the boat that he feels like it's actually a friend he's taking to. Question 6. What stealthy act does the boy commit? The boy takes away the boat without the permission of the owner of the boat. It's the stealthy act, right? It's the wrong act. Can you give me an example of what stealthy act have you done before? I would love to know that. Question 7. What sound is captured in lines 6 and 7? Mountain echoes, right? It's not echoes, it's mountain echoes of the sound of the oars splashing in the water. Question 8. What visual picture is created in lines 8 to 10? Visual means by the words you can actually see the scenario. The picture is of small ripples caused in the water by the moving oars, and they are fading away to leave only a long stretch of reflected moonlight in the water in the wake of the boat. Such a beautiful scene. Question 9. What does they in the line 10 refer to? The small ripples in the water which come due to the oars. Question 10. How many peaks are mentioned in the poem? Which one is bigger? 2 peaks are mentioned, right? There are 2 mountains that are referring. He went first through one and then to another one. The first one is a craggy ridge, the one the boy wanted to actually reach. The second one is a black and huge peak which looms suddenly in front of him. He actually wanted to go and see this particular mountain, the craggy ridge, but then he actually went off to another mountain which scared him. Question 11a. What is the boat compared to in lines 19 and 20? A swan gliding smoothly in the water. A swan, how it goes? Remember this. What has he compared the boat to? A swan. By what? The way they both move together. Question 11b. The purpose of the comparison. Why would they compare? Why do you compare anything? To highlight the beauty and grace of the swan, to highlight the beauty and the grace of the boat, or to highlight the graceful movement of the boat? It is 3. Yes, to highlight the graceful movement of the boat, the smooth and perfect movement of the boat. Question 12, the A part. In the expression troubled pleasure, that is in the line 6, you may go back and read, what pleasurable experience of the narrator does pleasure refer to? Taking the boat away all by himself. He is getting a sort of pleasure by doing this, by taking the boat all by himself. I'm a small little boy, but see, I can go take a boat all by myself, which doesn't even belong to me. Question 12b. The narrator's pleasure is troubled because now he is getting some kind of pleasure, happiness, but it is troubled. It's sad. He is not happy about it. Why? Because his conscience pricks him on his stealthy act, because the pleasure is short-lived, because he is scared of his stealthy act of being found out. So the answer is his conscience pricks him or his stealthy act. So when you do something wrong, always there will be something in your heart which is telling you, no, don't do it. No, that's wrong. Hey, come on, let's go back home, isn't it? So that's your conscience talking to you. Question 13b. Pick out the details of the peak that appear fearful to the boy. Now, what are these qualities of that mountain which are scaring the boy? Let's find out. Rising from behind the craggy ridge all of a sudden. Now, he wanted to go to see the mountain craggy ridge. From behind, suddenly something came up. Being black, number 1. Huge in size, number 2. Went on growing in size till it towered between the boy and the stars. It kept growing in the height. Seemed to be coming after the boy with a measured step. After some time, it looked like the mountain himself was coming close to the boy. Question 13c. The lines refer to the movement of the peak. Is it real or imagined by the boy? Now, the lines refer to the movement. Now, the mountain, can a non-living thing move? No, it cannot. But it seemed as if the boy was imagining it. Yes, it is the imagination of the boy who is already feeling guilty about the act of stealing boat. Already throughout the way he was feeling a little bad about stealing the boat, and then comes this big mountain. So the boy is thinking as if it's God who sent the mountain to him, and he kept imagining as if it was growing. Question 13d. In the boy's imagination, the movement is threatening and menacing, or lively and graceful, or friendly and inviting. What do you think? Obviously, it is threatening and menacing, correct? Question 14a. In the phrase trembling oars, who is trembling? The boy is trembling. Because the boy is trembling, his hands are trembling. Because his hands are trembling, the oars are also trembling. Question 14b. Name the figure of speech in this expression. The figure of speech used here is transferred epithet. 14c. The boy is trembling. Why is he trembling? Because he is frightened by the approaching peak, or of his guilty conscience, or of cold. He is frightened by the approaching peak which is coming closer to him. That's what he felt. Question 15. The episode of the stolen boat ends with the boy leaving the boat back in its mooring place. That is the line 32. The remaining lines of the poem, lines 33 and to 44, deal with what? So first, it is the lines are telling us that the boat is going. After that, the lines 33 to 34 tell us what? The lasting memory of the actual experience, or the details not connected with the actual experience, or the mysterious shapes and images haunting him. Answer is already there. Obviously, it was the mysterious shapes and images that were haunting him, and he was imagining those. Okay. Question 16. Wordsworth defined poetry as emotions recollected in tranquility. What dominant emotion of the boat experience is recollected by the poet? What does he remember about the poet? The fear caused by the sight of the huge black peak. Something that has always been in his mind throughout till he even became old. This memory lasted. Okay. Question 17. Many days after the stolen boat experience, the narrator was haunted by a mysterious presence within him. Pick out details of the mysterious presence from lines 37 to 44. After the experience, there hung over the boy's thoughts darkness, which can be called solitude or blank desertion. There were no familiar shapes or pleasant images of trees, sea or sky. There were just huge and mighty forms that do not live like living men. Even living men did not feel like living for him. These sky, sea and trees seemed like dark objects for him. These forms moved slowly through his mind by day and troubled him in his dream. These forms were moving in front of him during the day, and in the night, in the dreams, when he used to sleep, he used to get these images. So that ends the story. It's a sad story, sad ending of the poem, but it tells us that before doing any kind of bad act, wrong act, stealthy act, think. So I'm going to read the summary once more for you. The cool summer evening provokes the boy to engage in some kind of mischief. He decides to release a moored boat and take it away on the sea all by himself. Everything around is still, and the sound of the splash of the oars seems to echo the loud heartbeats of the boy. He is feeling guilty for having taken the boat in a stealthy manner. There is pale moonlight and it is reflected beautifully in the water. The boat sails smoothly like a swan. The boy wants to take the boat to a craggy rock. As he nears it, there seems to arise behind the craggy rock a huge peak, black and menacing. As the boy grows closer to it, it seems to grow bigger and bigger. Very soon it seems to be walking towards the boy in a threatening manner. The boy gets terrified and immediately turns back. In a great hurry, he goes back to the cave and moors the boat. For many days after day and night, he is hunted by the huge peak which seems to be moving towards him. For many days, he keeps remembering this instant. Okay? So with this, I finished this poem, The Stolen Boat, which is written by William Wordsworth. A nice, beautifully described scenery of a stealthy act done by a boy, which obviously he feels bad at the end. Okay? Tells us a beautiful thing that before you do anything wrong, think and don't do it. So, I sign out here. I'll see you in the next session. Bye-bye.